3 weeks ago, I quit my stable, secure, and high-paying job as a sales manager in a big corporation. I had a great salary, I had flexible work hours, and I could even work from home 2 days per week if I wanted to. So on paper, this was really like my dream job. But I was miserable. I was stressed out of my mind and I was feeling very drained, and I just had no energy left at the end of the workday. And I just knew that I had to get myself out of this situation before it was too late. My friends and family, of course, thought that I was completely crazy. And to be honest, at the time I didn't even know if I was making the right decision myself. But now it's been 3 weeks and I've had some time to breathe a little bit and just process my emotions and my thoughts. And I feel like now I finally understand and realize why I had to remove myself from this very unhealthy situation that I was in. So in this video, I'm sharing the 5 clear signs that told me that I had to quit my 9 to 5 and go bet on myself instead. And I am pretty sure that if you are working a 9 to 5 right now, you will also recognize some of these signs in your own life as well. And with that said, let us just get started with the video and with the first sign. The endless exhaustion cycle. So first of all, I was constantly feeling very tired and very drained when I was working at my 9 to 5. And like no matter how long I slept for during the night, I would be completely exhausted and drained from energy at the end of the workday. So most of my evenings and my weekends were just spent trying to recover from the work week. But to be honest, I never really felt like I was completely rested or fully recovered. I just felt like I was in this endless cycle of being exhausted all the time and there was no way to escape from it. And then you can probably relate to this, but I had this feeling like every Sunday night, this kind of dread would hit me that I knew that I had to get up and repeat the whole progress over again one more time. And I just found it really difficult to accept that this is what my life has become. I'm just feeling tired and drained all the time, and I don't have any energy to actually do the things that I want to do with my life. And for me, I want to do meaningful work that gives me energy. I want to live an interesting life and do things that make a positive impact in this world. And I just didn't feel that way when I was working at my 9 to 5. And I feel like one of the biggest problems with working like a traditional 9 to 5 corporate job is that there's always another email that you can reply to. And there is always some drama going on at the office that you have to think about even though you're not at work. There's always some deadline that you have to hit, and it is just very stressful to always have something that you could do, and you're actually never really off from work. And I felt like I never really got a real break from work, and because I was constantly having this mental stress at the back of my mind, I just felt very exhausted and I felt like I was on the way to becoming completely burnt out. Sign number 2, my body was sounding the alarm. So like most corporate jobs, I sat down in front of screens for most of my work days. And I was sitting in this office environment with fluorescent lights and constant noise from my colleagues, and also no ability to get fresh air inside. And I feel like when you combine these physical work conditions with the mental stress of always having something that you can do in the corporate world, these two things combined just started to slowly destroy my mental and my physical health. And one of the ways that I noticed that my health was declining was that, usually I'm a very disciplined person and I don't have any problem saying no to unhealthy food and stuff like that. But every time I saw cake in the office in the late afternoons, I would eat that cake hoping that I would feel better and hoping that the cake would give me some energy so that I could finish the workday strong. But of course that never happened. I just ate the cake, and that resulted in me having like a sugar crash. I would gain weight, and eventually I would just become more addicted to sugar, and I would just be more disappointed in myself for not having the discipline to say no. And I also had to go to the dentist to buy this very expensive mouth guard because I was grinding my teeth so badly every single night. And I had this thing where my jaw and my neck and my shoulders were very tense, and there was a lot of pain in that area of my body. And I just had a lot of physical symptoms of stress and burnout. And I noticed that my health was declining, I would say maybe 2 years ago, but I just kept pushing through, and I just kept, trying to work harder and produce better results. And I hoped that eventually it would just go away, but unfortunately it didn't. Sign number 3, my job was stealing the best hours of my life. Okay, so this is one of the most important signs that I noticed. I realized that I was giving away my best and most creative and most energetic hours of every single day to this big corporation that in reality didn't care about me as a person or as a human being. I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day just to be able to press in a workout before I had to go to work. And I had to do this in the morning because I knew that by the time I got home from work, I was completely done and I had no energy to do anything else. Most of my evenings after work, I would just come home, eat a quick dinner, maybe watch a little bit of YouTube, and then be sure to go back to bed before 8 o'clock so that I would be able to wake up at 5 and repeat the same thing over again. And because of this very rigid schedule, and because I wanted to try and protect my health and get a good night's sleep every night, it was very hard for me to accept invitations to social events during the week because I just knew that I had to be back and be in bed by 8 so that I could get a workout in before going to work, and that's so I could actually get my sleep. And this is when I felt like I was very much trapped in this whole rat race. This is when I realized that I was trading away the absolute best years of my life to get a paycheck, but this paycheck is never going to give me the freedom that I want, and this paycheck is never going to allow me to buy the type of home that I actually want to buy. And then on top of that, I also felt very replaceable in this whole big organization. I think this is a general thing for big organizations, but I feel like they care more about targets and numbers than they care about the individual human beings who are performing the work. And what I realized is that the harder I worked and the better results I produced, the higher my targets would just become the following year. So that means basically if I performed well and delivered good results, it would become more difficult for me to reach my goals and get my bonus the following year. Sign number 4. I was becoming who I spent the most time with. I truly believe that you become the average of the people that you spend the most time with. And I realized that I was spending way more of my waking hours with my colleagues than with my friends and my family. So basically I was spending the majority of my time with people that I didn't choose to spend time with myself. And I will say that most of my colleagues were amazing people, but they just had different mindsets from my own. I feel like most employees in big corporations, they just want to do the bare minimum and get a steady paycheck every month. And they don't care so much about growing as a person or building their own thing on the side or anything like that. Most people, they are happy just doing the work, getting the paycheck, maybe go out drinking on the weekends, maybe watch some Netflix, or maybe, follow along what's going on in mainstream news media these days or something like that. And of course, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just not the life that I want to live. And because I was spending so much time with these people, and because I was in this environment almost every single day for most of the day, I could just feel that this mentality was starting to rub off on me, And I just felt like I had to get out and I had to remove myself from this situation and surround myself with more like-minded people if I ever wanted to build my dream life and achieve my goals. I cannot spend the majority of my life with people that have very different goals and then expect that I will achieve my goals. That is just not how it works. Sign number 5, I didn't want my manager's life. So when I looked at my manager's role, I realized that if I got promoted, that would only result in more stress and more responsibilities and more endless and completely pointless meetings and more office politics and drama, but the pay would only be slightly better. So honestly, I just couldn't see any future for me in the company. I didn't want to have my manager's role. And for me, it's very important that I feel like I have progress in my life. It's very important that I feel like I'm moving forward and that I have something to look forward to in my life. And I was just not feeling this in my 9 to 5. I felt like I was just sitting behind my desk and I was just doing these robotic tasks completely on autopilot, not getting anywhere in life and not learning anything valuable and just, wasting away my potential in front of screens. And that's when I realized that if I stay in this 9 to 5 and if I keep working this corporate job, I will turn into a person that I don't want to be. So 3 weeks ago, I finally quit my job. And of course, it was super scary when I quit my job, but already now, after 3 weeks, I feel much better, both physically and mentally, and I just feel like I'm living in alignment with my values now, and that is just an amazing feeling. And in case that you don't know, my plan going forward now is that I want to build this YouTube channel and I want to create a life that I don't need to escape from, basically. I want to create a life where I do meaningful work that has a positive impact in the world and that gives me more energy than it takes away from me. And that is what I'm getting from this YouTube channel right now. And last week, I actually filmed a day in the life here in Copenhagen with my new life as a full-time content creator. And it was a very beautiful summer day here in Copenhagen, and I definitely think that my new life is much better than my old life where I would sit in an office all day. So if you want to check out that video and just see what my life is like living in Copenhagen, not having a 9 to 5 any longer, that video will pop up on the screen right here. And yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.